The sun was setting behind the tall buildings of the busy alien market. Casting long shadows over the narrow streets, the market was full of noise shouts of sellers, the clatter of feet, and the cries of strange creatures. In the middle of this chaos stood a large cage made of thick metal bars. Inside the cage was a young alien girl, her skin pale blue and eyes wide with fear. She was thin and weak, her hands chained to the bars, her body trembling with cold and hunger. The people passing by looked at her with harsh eyes and cruel smiles. Some spoke loudly about how much she would fetch in the auction. Others joked about the pain she might face and the harsh work she would be forced to do. The alien girl tried to hide in the corner of the cage, but it was no use. She heard a group of men talking nearby, their voices cold and angry. 100 credits for that one, said one man. She looks strong enough for hard labor. Another man laughed. I bet she will scream when I break her spirit. The girl's heart beat faster, and tears ran down her cheeks. She thought about the stories she had heard about slaves who were beaten and hurt every day. She wished she could disappear, but she was trapped. Suddenly, the crowd grew quiet as a new man walked forward. He was middle-aged, with gray hair and calm eyes. His clothes were simple but clean, and he carried no weapons. The people around whispered, "Who is this man? Why does he want a slave?" The man looked at the alien girl with kind eyes, not like the others who saw her as just property. He spoke softly to the auctioneer. "I want to buy her." The auctioneer was surprised, but nodded and started the sale. The price went higher and higher, but the man stayed calm. Finally, he paid, and the auctioneer unlocked the cage. The alien girl looked at the man with fear. She thought, he must want to hurt me like the others. But instead of grabbing her roughly, the man gently took her hand and helped her out. She was shocked by his kindness, but too scared to trust him. He carried a small bag with food and water and walked slowly away from the market. The noise of the crowd faded behind them, and the man spoke quietly. "My name is Marcus, and I will help you," he said. The alien girl blinked, surprised that someone would say such words, but her mind told her to be careful. Humans could be cruel. And this was only the beginning. As they walked through dark streets, the alien girl tried to stay calm. She noticed the small scars on Marcus's hands and wondered about his story. Marcus saw her eyes and smiled gently. "You don't have to be afraid here," he said, but the girl only looked away. Still feeling pain from years of being a slave, she thought, "Why would a stranger save me? What does he want?" They reached a small, quiet room in a building far from the market. Marcus opened the door and helped her inside. There was a warm bed, clean water, and food waiting on a table. The alien girl was too scared to eat, but took a small sip of water. Marcus sat beside her and said, "You are safe now." She wanted to believe him, but fear held her tight. The night passed slowly, and the alien girl heard strange sounds from outside. She wondered if the slave traders would come looking for her. Marcus kept watch by the door, his face serious and alert. When dawn came, he brought more food and said, "Today, we will plan your escape." The girl looked at him in surprise, hope stirring in her heart. But deep down, she still wondered if freedom was real or just another dream. She thought about her family, lost and broken by the slave trade. She remembered her home planet, full of green fields and blue skies. Now she was trapped far from home, in a strange world with a strange man. Yet, for the first time, someone had shown her kindness. Marcus looked at her with steady eyes. "You are not alone anymore," he said. The alien girl nodded slowly, feeling a small spark of trust. But she knew the road ahead would be hard. The auction cage was just the start. Danger lurked everywhere, and enemies would not give up easily. Still, with Marcus by her side, she was ready to fight for her freedom. The market cage was behind her now, but the real test had just begun. After leaving the noisy market behind, Marcus and the alien girl moved through winding streets. The city was large and strange to her, with bright lights and tall buildings that touched the sky. She stayed close to Marcus, her small hands still trembling from fear. Every sound made her jump: a shout, a footstep, a distant engine roar. She did not understand this place or why. Marcus had saved her. Marcus noticed her fear and spoke softly. "It's okay. You're safe with me." But she only nodded silently. Unsure if she could trust anyone again, they stopped in front of a plain door hidden in a quiet alley. Marcus knocked 3 times, then waited patiently. After a moment, the door opened, revealing a small group of people. They looked tired but kind, and they smiled warmly at the alien girl. "This is the safe shelter," Marcus explained. "It's a place where slaves like you can rest." The girl stepped inside, eyes wide with wonder. The room was simple but clean, with soft beds and fresh food. It smelled of herbs and warm wood, so different from the cold market cage. For the first time in a long time, she felt a flicker of hope. The people here spoke quietly, introducing themselves as helpers for those who escaped slavery. One woman gave the alien girl a blanket and a warm drink. Another man cleaned the chains from her wrists, gently rubbing the scars. The girl looked down, feeling shame and pain from years of being treated like an object. Marcus sat beside her and said, "You are not a slave anymore. You are free." But freedom was a strange word to her. Almost like a dream she could not believe. She wondered if she was ready for this new life, or if danger was still close. Late that night, the girl lay awake on the soft bed. She thought about the people who sold her, the cruel hands that touched her. Her mind was full of questions and fears, but also a quiet longing for peace. Marcus stood by the window, watching the dark city streets. He felt a deep sadness for what the girl had suffered, but also a strong resolve to protect her no matter what. He knew the slave traders would not give up so easily. They would come looking for her, and he must be ready the next morning. Marcus took the girl to a small garden behind the shelter. The sun warmed her face, and the soft breeze smelled like flowers. She watched the green leaves and colorful petals, feeling something she had forgotten: joy. Marcus smiled and said, "This is your new home, at least for now." She wanted to believe him, but still felt the weight of fear on her heart. Days passed, and the alien girl slowly learned to trust the people around her. They taught her to speak their language and to understand the strange city. She helped in small ways, cleaning, cooking, listening to stories of other escaped slaves. Each day, her fear grew smaller, and her hope grew stronger. One day, a young boy from the shelter asked her, "What is your name?" She looked down and whispered, "I don't remember. I was never given one." The boy smiled kindly. "Then you can choose your own name here." The alien girl thought carefully, then said softly, "Call me Lyra." Her voice was small but clear, and the people around smiled warmly. Lyra felt a new life beginning inside her, like a small flame in the dark. She began to dream of a future where she was free and happy, but deep down she knew the past was not gone. The slave traders were still out there, hunting for her. One evening, while Lyra and Marcus were talking quietly, a loud noise shattered. The calm shouts and footsteps rushed toward the shelter. Marcus stood quickly, eyes sharp and ready. The helpers moved to protect the people inside. Lyra's heart pounded with fear and confusion. A group of armed men appeared outside the shelter's gate. Their faces were hard and cruel, and their voices demanded Lyra's return. Marcus stepped forward bravely. "She is not your slave anymore," he said firmly. The leader sneered, "You have no right to protect her. Hand her over or face the consequences." Marcus's eyes burned with anger, but he kept calm. "We will not give her to you," he said. You must leave." The standoff grew tense. With weapons raised and voices shouting, Lyra felt trapped. Between hope and danger, she looked at Marcus. Seeing his courage gave her strength. Suddenly, a loud alarm rang through the shelter. Warning of the attack, the helpers moved quickly to defend the shelter. Marcus grabbed Lyra's hand. "We must run now," he said. Together, they escaped through a secret passage behind the garden. The city night swallowed them as they fled from the danger. Lyra ran as fast as she could, her breath heavy, her heart racing. She did not know where they were going, but she trusted Marcus completely. In that moment, she felt something new, not just fear, but the fierce will to survive, the will to be free, no matter what the cost. As they disappeared into the dark streets, Lyra whispered, "Thank you, Marcus, for saving me." He looked at her and smiled gently. "We will find your freedom together." After their narrow escape from the shelter attack, Marcus and Lyra found a quiet place to rest. They hid in an old abandoned warehouse on the edge of the city. The place was dusty and dark, but it was safe for now. Lyra sat on a broken crate, her eyes heavy with tiredness and worry. Marcus watched her carefully, waiting for her to speak. For a long time, Lyra said nothing. Her mind was full of memories she tried to hide. Finally, she looked up at Marcus and whispered, "There is something you should know about me." Marcus nodded, encouraging her to continue. "I was not always a slave," she said softly. "I had a family once." A home. Lyra took a deep breath and began her story. She told Marcus about her planet, Veralia, a place of bright blue skies and tall green trees. She described her family, her parents, her little brother, and her sisters. She smiled faintly as she spoke about their happy times together, but her smile faded as she told what happened next. "The rulers of my planet grew cruel," she said. "They wanted to control everything. They sent soldiers to take people like Mythos who spoke against them. My family tried to run, but they were caught." Lyra's voice broke, and tears filled her eyes. "My parents were taken away, and my brother was lost. I was sold as a slave to pay for my family's rebellion." Marcus reached out and gently took her hand. "You did not deserve this," he said firmly. Lyra looked at him with hope and sadness mixed together. "Thank you," she whispered. "But now, I am alone." Marcus shook his head. "You are not alone anymore, Lyra." She felt a small warmth in her heart at his words. For the first time, she believed someone truly cared for her, but deep down, she wondered if she could ever find her family again. That night, as they rested in the warehouse, Marcus shared his own story. He told her about his life on Earth, about the wars and pain he had seen. He spoke of his reason for helping slaves like Herbie, 'cause no one should suffer. Lyra listened closely, feeling a bond growing between them. Two broken souls finding strength in each other's stories. The next day, Marcus showed Lyra a small Divisa holographic map. "This will help us find your family," he said. The map showed stars and planets, with markers where rebels and safe zones were. Lyra's eyes filled with tears of hope. "Maybe my family is still alive somewhere," she said softly. But Marcus warned her, "The slave traders will stop at nothing to get you back. We must be careful and move quickly." Lyra nodded. Feeling a mix of fear and determination, she was ready to fight for her freedom and her family. As they planned their next move, a shadow moved outside the warehouse. Marcus froze and held up his hand for silence. They listened closely and heard voices, men searching for them. The slave traders had found their hiding place. Marcus grabbed Lyra's hand. "We must leave now." They slipped out through a back door and disappeared into the city's maze. Lyra's heart raced with fear, but she trusted Marcus's calm strength. They ran through dark alleys, dodging patrols and searching for safety. During their escape, Lyra discovered something strange. Her body felt stronger when danger came. Close, her eyes glowed faintly, and she moved faster than before. Marcus noticed and asked, "What is happening to you?" Lyra shook her head. "I don't know. But I think it's something inside me, something from my family." This new power gave her hope, but also fear. Could it help them survive or bring more trouble? As they reached a hidden rebel outpost, Lyra took a deep breath. She was ready to face the unknown, to find her family, and to claim her freedom. Marcus looked at her with pride. "Together, we will make it," he said. Lyra smiled for the first time in a long time. For the first time, she believed in a future beyond chains and pain. The hidden past was no longer just a shadow, was the key to their fight for freedom. After days of planning and resting at the rebel outpost, Marcus and Lyra knew it was time to leave. They could not stay hidden forever, and the danger from the slave traders was growing. The rebel leaders gave them supplies, food, water, and a small weapon for Marcus's Lyra's heart pounded with nervous energy as she prepared for the journey ahead. Marcus spoke softly. "We must move at night, when the city is quiet and the guards are fewer." Lyra nodded, trying to steady her shaking hands. She looked around at the other escaped slaves, all hoping for a better life. Her thoughts went to her lost family, and a fierce determination grew inside her. As the sun set and darkness covered the city, Marcus and Lyra slipped out through a secret tunnel. The air was cool and heavy with silence, broken only by distant sounds of the sleeping city. Lyra felt fear creeping in. Every shadow seemed alive, every noise a threat. Marcus held her hand tightly, whispering, "Stay close and trust me." They moved through narrow alleys and abandoned streets, careful to avoid patrols. Lyra's eyes scanned every corner, every rooftop, looking for signs of danger. Suddenly, a sharp noise echoed behind them, a metal gate clanging loudly. They froze, listening as footsteps approached quickly. Marcus pulled Lyra into a dark doorway and pressed his finger to his lips. The footsteps grew louder, then stopped as guards shouted orders. "Search the area. They must be close." One shouted. Lyra's breath came fast, and her heart beat like a drum. She squeezed Marcus's hand, afraid they would be caught after what felt like an eternity. The footsteps faded away. Marcus whispered, "We need to move faster." They ran through twisting paths, avoiding the main roads. Lyra's legs ached, but she pushed forward, driven by hope and fear. Suddenly, they came to a tall fence topped with sharp spikes. Marcus checked the area and found a small opening covered by vines. He helped Lyra climb through, her fingers scraping on the rough metal. Once on the other side, they breathed deeply, feeling a small victory, but their escape was far from over. As they approached the city's edge, a loud alarm blared in the distance. Lyra's eyes widened. "They know we're running," she said, panic in her voice. Marcus nodded grimly. "We have to hurry." They sprinted toward a forest that bordered the city. The trees offered cover and a chance to lose their pursuers. Lyra felt the strange power inside her growing stronger. Her eyes glowed faintly in the dark, and she moved faster than she thought possible. Behind them, the shouts of guards grew louder. Marcus pulled Lyra into a dense thicket, hiding them in shadows. They crouched silently, listening as the guards passed nearby. Lyra's heart pounded, but she forced herself to be still. After the guards left, Marcus whispered, "You did well back there." Lyra looked at him, surprised. "I was scared," she admitted. Marcus smiled gently. "Fear makes us stronger. You are braver than you know." They rested for a moment before continuing deeper into the forest. The night was cold, but the stars shone bright above. Lyra felt a mix of relief and worry. Relief to be away from the city, worry about what lay ahead. Suddenly, strange noises came from the dark woods, twigs snapping and soft growls. Lyra tensed. "What is that?" she whispered. Marcus raised his weapon and moved forward carefully. Out of the shadows came a large, wild animal, eyes glowing in the moonlight. Marcus stood between the creature and Lyra, ready to defend her, but then something amazing happened. Lyra stepped forward, her eyes shining bright. She spoke softly in her own language, and the animal stopped, tilting its head. The creature relaxed and slowly walked away. Marcus stared at her in amazement. "You have a gift," he said quietly. Lyra smiled faintly. "It's part of my past, and maybe my future." They continued their journey, the forest growing thicker and darker. Each step took them farther from slavery and closer to freedom. As dawn began to break, they reached a small village hidden in the trees. The villagers looked surprised but welcomed them with cautious kindness. Marcus explained their story, and the villagers offered food and shelter. Lyra felt grateful but knew they could not stay long. She looked at Marcus and said, "Thank you for saving me." "For believing in me," Marcus smiled. "We save each other, Lyra." Her heart felt lighter than it had in years, but deep inside, she knew the journey was just beginning. The first escape was only a step. Danger and challenges waited ahead, and together they would face them all. After leaving the village behind, Marcus and Lyra traveled deeper into the wild lands beyond the city. The air was fresher here, filled with the scent of pine and earth. Lyra felt her spirit lift a little as they moved away from the dangers of the slave traders, but she knew the war for her freedom was far from over. One evening, as the sun dipped low behind the hills, Marcus led Lyra to a hidden valley. The valley was surrounded by tall cliffs covered in thick green vines. In the middle lay a small community, simple homes built from wood and stone. Smoke rose gently from chimneys, and soft voices carried through the air. "This is the safe haven," Marcus said quietly, "a place where escaped slaves and rebels live." Lyra looked around, eyes wide with wonder and hope. She saw children playing, women cooking, and men preparing tools and weapons. Here, people did not judge or fear her. They welcomed her as one of their own. The leader of the community, a tall woman with strong eyes and a kind smile, approached them. She introduced herself as Kara, the head of the safe haven. Kara shook Lyra's hand firmly and said, "You are safe here, but your enemies will not stop hunting you." Lyra nodded, understanding the truth in her words. She felt a mixture of relief and fear. Relief to be among friends, fear of the battle to come. That night, Lyra lay on a soft bed in a small cabin. For the first time in years, she slept without chains and cold metal bars. She dreamed of her family, her home planet, and the freedom she longed for. Morning came with the sound of laughter and singing outside. Lyra opened her eyes to see children running past her window. Free and happy, Marcus joined her and said, "This place can be your new home, if you want." Lyra looked at him, feeling the weight of all she had lost and all she hoped to gain. "I want freedom," she said simply, "and to help others find it too." Over the next days, Lyra learned the ways of the safe haven. She trained with others, learning to defend herself and fight. Her strange power grew stronger. She could move faster, see clearer, and even sense danger before it came. The rebels accepted her, and she began to feel a sense of belonging. One afternoon, while exploring the valley, Lyra found a hidden cave. Inside, ancient drawings told stories of her people, heroes who fought for justice and peace. She touched the drawings and felt a connection to her past and a promise for the future. But danger was never far. One evening, scouts returned with new slave traders were gathering an army nearby. Kara called a meeting to prepare for the coming attack. The safe haven's people worked quickly, setting traps and strengthening defenses. Lyra stood beside Marcus, ready to fight. She felt fear, but also a fierce determination to protect this new family. The night before the battle, she whispered to Marcus, "I am ready to fight for freedom no matter what." He smiled. "We will fight together, and we will win." As the first light of dawn broke, the slave traders' army appeared on the valley's edge. Their weapons gleamed in the sun, and their faces showed no mercy. The battle began with loud clashes of metal and cries of pain. Lyra used her power to move swiftly, helping to defend the village. Marcus fought fiercely, protecting those who could not fight themselves. The fight was hard and long, but the rebels' courage and Lyra's strength turned the tide. The slave traders retreated, leaving behind their fallen and broken pride. Lyra stood among her new friends, bruised but proud. She had found not just safety, but a family willing to fight beside her. As the sun set on the battlefield, Marcus looked at Lyra and said, "This is only the beginning, but together we can change the future." Lyra smiled, hope shining in her eyes for the first time. She believed freedom was not just a dream, which was real. The morning air was cold and sharp as the first rays of sunlight touched the valley. Lyra stood with the rebels, her heart pounding like a drum. The slave traders were coming back, stronger and angrier than before. Their army was larger, their weapons deadlier, and their hunger for control greater. Marcus tightened his grip on his weapon and looked at Lyra. "We must hold the line here," he said firmly. "If we lose this valley, all hope is lost." Lyra nodded, feeling a fierce fire inside her. She was ready to fight not just for herself, but for everyone who wanted freedom. The rebel warriors took their positions along the cliffs and forest edges. Lyra stood beside Marcus, her eyes glowing faintly with power. The ground shook as the enemy army marched closer. The sound of their footsteps was like thunder in the valley. Suddenly, the battle began with a roar. Arrows flew through the air. Clashing against shields and armor, Lyra moved quickly, dodging attacks and helping injured friends. She could feel the strange power inside her growing stronger with each moment. Marcus fought bravely, protecting the rebels and leading the charge. His calm strength gave hope to everyone around. But the slave traders pushed hard, breaking through. The first defenses. The valley echoed with cries of pain and determination in the middle of the chaos. Lyra saw a group of enemy soldiers closing in on a small group of children. Without thinking, she rushed forward, her eyes shining bright. She raised her hands and whispered words in her ancient language. A wave of energy burst from her, knocking the soldiers back. The rebels stared in awe as Lyra's power saved the children. Marcus called out, "Lyra, your power is a gift, use it wisely." She nodded, feeling both scared and strong. This power was part of her past, and now it was her weapon for the future. The battle raged on for hours, neither side willing to give up. The rebels fought with courage and heart. Inspired by Lyra and Marcus, slowly they pushed the slave traders back, reclaiming lost ground. The valley was stained with dirt and blood. But the rebels stood firm. As the sun began to set, the slave traders started to retreat. Their leader shouted orders, calling for a last desperate attack. But the rebels were ready. Standing tall and united with one final charge, they drove the enemy from the valley. Lyra stood among her friends, exhausted but victorious. She looked at Marcus, who smiled proudly. "We did it," he said quietly. "But the fight is not over." Lyra understood freedom was a journey, not a destination. That night, around the campfire, the rebels celebrated their victory. Lyra told stories of her home and her family. Her voice was strong, full of hope and dreams. Marcus listened, knowing their bond had grown deeper through the battle. As the stars shone above, Lyra promised herself she would keep fighting for her family, for the safe haven, and for all those still trapped in darkness. The battle for freedom had been won, but many more lay ahead. Together with Marcus and her new family, she was ready to face whatever came next. The valley was safe for now, but the war was far from over. Lyra's journey was just beginning, and her power was the key to change the galaxy forever. The battle had ended, but the valley was quiet now. the sun rose softly, painting the sky with warm colors. Lyra stood at the edge of a cliff, looking out over the land she helped save. Her heart was heavy with memories, but also light with hope. Marcus came to stand beside her, his eyes gentle and tired. "We did what many thought impossible," he said quietly. Lyra smiled. "We did it together." She felt stronger than ever before, not just because of her power, but because of trust and friendship. Life in the safe haven began to grow peaceful. The people rebuilt their homes and gardens. Children laughed and played freely in the sun. Lyra helped teach others to defend themselves and to believe in freedom. One day, a messenger arrived with news from far away. A small group of survivors from Lyra's home planet had been found. Lyra's eyes, filled with tears, hope had returned to her heart. She made plans with Marcus to journey across the stars. To find them, before she left, the safe haven held a ceremony. Lyra was given a new name that meant Light of Freedom. The people cheered, welcoming her as a leader and a symbol of hope. She promised to carry their courage wherever she went, as she and Marcus prepared to leave. Lyra looked back one last time. The valley was no longer just a place of safety, but a home full of love. She whispered, "Thank you, all of you, for saving me." Marcus took her hand, "And thank you for saving us too." Their journey ahead was uncertain and full of risks, but together they faced the future without fear. Lyra felt ready to heal the wounds of the past, to reunite with her family, and to bring freedom to many more as their ship lifted into the sky. Lyra watched the valley grow small beneath them. She felt a new life beginning, not one of chains and pain, but one of hope, love, and endless possibilities. The story of the alien slave girl who once feared torture had become a story of courage and love, and her fight for freedom had only just begun.